3, 2, 1, and go.
Hi everyone, my name is Tsira. I am a Hollow Knight speedrunner, and I am here today with my amazing friend and fellow Hollow Knight speedrunner, Wasabi. He will be commentating for us today. I will be showcasing the Happy Couple speedrun for you guys. It is a really lovely speedrun, and yeah, I can't wait to show it off.
Hello. Tsira here was one of the people who helped push this category into a more popular position. They hosted a charity event that went on for a while, raised plenty of money for a great cause, and we're happy to be able to show it off here today for you guys for yet another great cause with the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund.
Yep, so without further ado, let's get started. Sabi, do you want to count me down?
Absolutely. We'll be starting time in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Alright, and we're off. Okay, so to tell you a bit more about the Happy Couple speedrun, the goal of the run is to unite two male characters, the Nailsmith and the Nailmaster Shio, and receive the Steam achievement called Happy Couple. The way we do this is by getting all the nail upgrades in the game. The nail is kind of like the sword. So whenever you hear the word nail, just think sword. So we need to get all the nail upgrades. In order to do that, we need to get 6 pale ores from throughout the world of Hallownest. We need to save a whole bunch of adorable little grubs, get some essence, fight some bosses. It's really a fun run.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
This game is a Metroidvania for those who are not acquainted with it. That means that there's a lot of branching pathways, a lot of collectibles to get, a lot of upgrades. So what we'll be seeing here today isn't near anything close to a completion of the game. We'll be collecting a lot of grubs, which are these cute little green creatures that have a heart bigger than their whole body.
Yeah.
We're collecting pale ore, which is what we use to upgrade the nail. We're collecting a lot of money. Huge amounts of money go towards upgrading the nail, which is why in pretty much every category outside of this one and the completionist categories, the nail is not typically upgraded ever.
Yeah.
But for this one, it is a requirement.
So, Geo, which is the in-game currency, it's pretty much just the name for money here. Geo is incredibly tight throughout the run. We need to get 800 of it very early on, which is quite a significant amount. But even after that, we still need to keep an eye on our numbers because we need a really large amount near the end of the run as well. So now I am just going through the beginning area of the game called Forgotten Crossroads. If you're wondering why I have the game set to Chinese, it's due to the fact that text just scrolls so much faster in Chinese. It saves a significant amount of time. And so the trick that I just pulled off there is called the double spike. The goal is to hit both aspids with that one spike as I just did. It's quite precise, and I'm happy that I got to show it off for you today.
Yeah, so now we're on our way to the first quote-unquote boss of the game. I say quote-unquote because there's actually a dev-intended skip to get around it. For those who know of its existence, you can actually just smash through one side of the False Knights arena after the first phase. It's actually a super easy fight. It's just the problem is that it takes a really, really long time to do, which is not conducive to speedrunning. So we just kind of skip through it. The boss does have money as a reward, but the boss is so slow that it's just better to find money elsewhere in
Pretty
almost
much.
every category.
Yeah, there are other bosses, and in the area after this, we have plenty of other opportunities to farm up enough money to get pretty much anything we need to get.
Chatter. But yeah, the False Knight is definitely a lot bigger It's probably one of the biggest bosses or enemies in the entire game. But I like to think that that was sort of it was sort of a demonstration that no matter how large or intimidating the enemy might be, the character of the knight that Tsira is playing as is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and that size does not equal strength, which is
In
fun,
fact,
which is a good thing.
pretty much one of the scariest bosses, I want to say, is one of the smallest ones too.
Yeah, I'm guessing by that you mean a hornet.
Sly,
Um,
actually.
Sly, okay, yeah. Sly and the Knight are the two smallest creatures in this in in Hallownest. So the fact that both of them are immensely powerful really speaks to that kind of theme
Yeah.
in the game.
So the ability I am picking up right here is our Fireball ability. It will, we will get an upgrade for it that'll make it strong enough to be our main DPS throughout the game. But for now, it is equal to 3 nail hits worth of damage. So now I just need to go through a small tutorial section where the game teaches you how to use the fireball by forcing you to kill an enemy that can only be killed with the ranged weapon.
Have I not been talking this entire time?
No, you haven't.
Alright, that's my bad.
It's fine. Yeah, so, the thing with this enemy is that there's a 50% chance it'll spit out another enemy if we need to gain the soul to kill it. And I just wasted my fireball on its gate, unfortunately. There's a 50% chance it'll spit out one of these guys. And I don't know what was going on with my RNG there. Each of those spits was about 2 seconds time loss that I just couldn't do anything about.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that we have such a early game RNG time loss here, but it's something that we deal with. Basically, this run is going to be an hour and 50 minutes long in real time. So, 10 seconds of time loss here, 20 seconds later on, this is just going to be a drop in the bucket.
Well, I hope so anyway. If it ends up being the difference between PB or not, then...
Yeah. We're here to have a good time. Maybe not a short time.
Yeah, so the category we are running in is NMG, no major glitches, which means that I have the opportunity to show off some really fun minor glitches for you guys. There's some fun chained wall cling storage, which I will show off later in the run. I am experiencing some constant frame drops, so my gameplay will be affected a bit by that. But yeah, so here we are moving into the second area of the game. This is called Green Path, where we have 3 skips called Fireball skips, where we use the knockback where there are ledges that we need to be able to access to skip through the entire area, but we just can't quite reach. So our solution is to use the knockback from the Fireball spells.
Basically, you're not supposed to be able to reach these areas without a dash. Sequence breaking is kind of built into the game, so it's hard to tell exactly whether, players are supposed to be able to figure out a way around it, but either way, it saves immense amounts of time. We cut out about half of this area with this skip, and there is an alternative. If the fireball skip is missed, we're able to pogo on an enemy, which is another feature of our glorious nail, which Tsira will be showing off for us right here. We're just going to lure this squid upward to the top and pogo, bounce on it just like that.
So, you're a bit delayed, Sabi.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the squid pogo that I did. Hopefully I will be able to showcase one of these fireball skips for you today. Unfortunately, I'm not quite getting the turnaround. I've got one more attempt, and I miss it. Unfortunate. So I will be experiencing a bit of time loss from that as well. But I get to show off something called Man Pogo, where you pogo off a falling enemy just enough to get up to that ledge, which you would not be able to access without a wall cling.
Yeah, and then we have coming up a Moss Knight. Tsira is going to try to kill it with just 2 fireballs. There's an AI manipulation jumping and causing it to jump backwards. Probably already happened on your screen.
Unfortunately, I did miss it, but that isn't too much of a concern. It's a minor time loss. It just means that I need to collect a little bit more soul in the next room.
Yeah, and if we haven't talked about soul collection, swinging the nail is and hitting an enemy with the nail is actually the main source of soul in this game. Soul is used for both spells and for healing, so that's another reason that we'll hopefully not be seeing too much healing in runs like this, because every heal is not just a time that you have to spend standing still and focusing on healing, but it also means that you have to spend more time collecting soul for your main DPS.
Yep, so I did make sure to get enough soul to be able to kill those Moss Knights using the setup we have. I was fortunate enough to get good RNG and I did not need to wait for one of them to walk over. The reason why we kill those Moss Knights is to get a significant amount of geo. We're about to purchase this stag station. Stags are pretty much the fast travel system throughout the game, and the reason why we purchase it now is so that we will be able to come back here twice later on in the run. So now I'm about to go into the first real boss fight, and this boss is called Hornet. She is an absolutely lovely NPC. Fortunately, unfortunately, the dialogue will be indecipherable because of how fast I scroll through it and because of the fact that it's Chinese.
Yeah, we actually use Chinese text because it scrolls faster and because it has a more compressed information. But anyway, this fight is really cool. Tsira will be trying to stagger lock Hornet into the corner here and basically get a chain of attacks followed by a fireball. 5 hits is the count that we need to stagger Hornet.
Yep, so with her defeated now, we got the Mothwing Cloak ability. This is the game's dash, and it just makes traversing the whole area significantly faster, so now you'll be seeing me dash pretty much everywhere. It also opens up new areas, such as the area that I'm about to go into next. This is actually one of my favorite areas in the speedrun of Hollow Knight, and the movement is just so fun.
Yeah, so in this split we'll be seeing our first grub, so we'll be introducing you to our friend there, but there's also just a couple of cool tricks to go along with it. One of them is an explosion pogo, which is actually just about as cool as it sounds. You bounce on an enemy's attack before it explodes and then after it explodes as well to get to an area that you could not possibly reach without some sort of vertical movement. So it definitely saves a lot of time there, around 20 or 30 seconds for that skip. And then we have a Mantis Pogo immediately after that, where we manipulate the enemy AI into position, use them almost like a ladder to get into another about 20-second time save.
So this room that I'm traversing now is one of my favorite rooms in the game just because of the super fun movement. So now I'm going to go a little bit out of my way to fight 2 Shroomal Ogres. Each drops about 4 or 5 geo each, which makes it really nice to have for something like, sorry, my brain is buffering, which we need that geo in order to be able to purchase dash slash, which we'll explain later on. And it also drops a charm notch. Charm notches basically allow us to equip more charms, aka abilities that we pick up or buy throughout the run. We pick up 2 of them in the Happy Couple speedrun. One greatly One gives us a whole lot more damage with our spells, as well as making the hitbox significantly larger. The other gives us soul whenever we get hit, and that is incredibly useful during a later segment of the run.
The charms are pretty powerful in this game. It's unfortunate that there's one charm that really stands out, the one that upgrades the spell damage and hitboxes. It's just too good to go without, really, and it costs 3 notches, so it leaves very little in terms of room for other charms in most speedruns. But it is a very cool charm. It's very fun to use, and it definitely helps out. Otherwise, we wouldn't be so heavily focused on it. But
So
yeah,
now
soon
I
we'll be
am actually going to save my first grub. We mentioned them earlier. They are adorable little buddies, and part of why I love this category so much is just being able to save these. Look at these adorable little guys.
There are 46 of them throughout the game. However, 31 is actually the goal required to meet in order to get our Pale Ore, which is once again used to upgrade our nail, the primary goal of the category. So, although we would love to save each and every grub, a huge part of this category is actually just routing in which ones are the fastest to save.
Pretty much, yeah. So now I'm attempting the explosion pogo that Sabi spoke about earlier. Unfortunately, I did have a bit of trouble getting my second nail hit on the explosion, but I did get there in the end.
Yeah, it is not a super easy trick to attempt. Most people, when they see that, people familiar with this game, are usually in disbelief that that's even possible. And they're partially correct, because the mechanic is changed on current patch.
Yes.
Just one of many reasons that we run on the older patches of the game is that tricks like that are a little easier or more natural to perform.
So I was also able to do the Mantis Pogo, where I set up the Mantises with very precise movement to be able to pogo off of them and avoid a 20-second time loss of going around. So now that I have that, I am going to go save 2 more of those adorable little green grubs and fight another mini-boss before doing a shade skip up into the Blue Lake. Shade skips? A shade, when you die in Hollow Knight, your knight leaves behind a shade. It is, I don't know the terms with the lore, but it's like some form of you that's not quite you, and it tries to attack you, actually. It holds all of your geo from when you die, and in order to get it back, you do need to kill it. But we can use it to pogo up to areas where we wouldn't be able to reach otherwise.
Yeah, this might be diving a little too deep into the lore, but the way I would describe the shade is the monster within our little character, the knight. And when you die, your shell breaks, releasing that monster. And basically you have to kill it to restore and put it back into your body to restore your full potential. Because having your shade missing also limits your usage of soul. Which, yeah. Not great for combat or for performing certain tricks.
I had a bad frame drop there. Oh boy. Unfortunately, I was unable to avoid that hit due to when my game decided to freeze. Hopefully, I won't have anything like that during the more pivotal moments. That was an intentional damage tank to warp back to the beginning of the room.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool tech like that where, I mean, one thing that's fun about speedruns is how speedrunners have mapped out kind of all these possibilities. They use debug tools to find out where hitboxes are, spawn boxes are.
Oh boy, I just died to Gruzmother. Well, more content for you guys, I guess.
Yeah, fortunately, I think we can take a shorter route there.
Yes, so there is a different route. I don't need to go out of my way for the grubs. That'll also give me more soul to be able to perform a bit of a quick kill, which I am unable to do with the usual route for Happy Couple.
Yeah, this mini boss here is kind of a pushover in most categories just because this strat is so refined and can so often kill it before it even gets a single attack off. But taking that different route to get the grubs means the soul collection is a bit off and we're just not able to get the same damage cycle. So it's for a boss that can die before its first attack, it suddenly becomes a bit of a nuisance. When we're not able to get that damage cycle.
Yeah, so with the pattern that I got, I was kind of stuck in the corner there. I probably would have been able to avoid it had I reacted in time, but unfortunately I did not. I will be killing that jumping husk, aka Jennifer, just for that little bit of extra soul.
Yeah, and right here we can actually see the mechanic of the shade that we were talking about, where now Tsira is limited to those 6 hits of soul or the 2 casts of spell. Basically.
And yeah, so I was able to show off there how you can literally kill the Gruzmother without it doing any attack.
Yeah. And the good news about this boss, it drops 50 Geo, and then it drops some babies that we promptly murder for even more Geo. Though in reality, it's mainly just because the door won't open until they're all dead.
Yes, but the extra Geo does not hurt.
Definitely not.
Geo is already so tight.
Yeah, it's so valuable in this category. I believe it takes something like 6,500 to fully upgrade the nail, something like that. And right now, the largest amount we've ever held is what you saw right before they purchased the Shaman Stone. It was something like 380.
So now I'm going to be taking an intentional death to be able to go up to the Blue Lake area, where I will be able to show off a pretty nifty Walkling storage skip.
Yeah, just recently.
Oh, I got the fireball. Not the best RNG there, but good enough.
Yeah, and this Walkling storage, basically what it is we're tricking the game into thinking we're clinging to a wall when we're really not at all. And it causes some weird things to happen with the physics. It allows our dash to refresh quicker and also gives us some extra momentum during the dash. And yeah, they pulled it off just fantastically. And it's fun because we knew about this glitch for certain areas of the game, but we only just recently discovered that we're actually able to get it off pretty much any corner in the game, provided that we can find a consistent setup for lining up something called subpixels.
So we've known that you could randomly get it off of random corners somehow, but we didn't know what caused it, which meant that every now and then something funny would happen, and we'd just shrug it off and move on, accept the time loss.
Yeah, and now it has become a time save in the form of speed tech. And but getting up to Blue Lake. Yeah, but getting up to Blue Lake is what it does is it allows us to access this second half of kind of the central heart of the Kingdom of Hallownest. It's known as the City of Tears. Getting into the second half here is quite the feat. It's normally locked off until the second half of the game, but just because of that shade skip, we're able to kind of sequence break, get here way earlier than we're supposed to, and it gives us a lot of advantages. We'll be seeing Tsira kill something called the Gorgeous Husk, which is the single most valuable enemy in the game for Geo. That's something that most speedrun categories do, not just the ones looking for, you know, that 6,500 Geo for nail upgrades, but it's a super convenient source of money. And then also it gives us access to a couple of grubs, and namely an ability called Dash Slash, which we'll be using almost as a lockpick. We can explain that later.
Yeah, so you just saw me kill the Gorgeous Husk. Before I quit out though, I have another mission. I'm actually going to, well, I'm not going to kill you because you fell off the ledge, but I will be saving an adorable little grubby. So now I quit out You'll often see me just use my quit out to warp back to whatever bench I was last sitting at. We have very specific bench placements throughout the run to be able to warp back very quickly. It saves us a lot of backtracking and a lot of time.
Yeah, the benches are the primary save system of Hollow Knight. There are autosaves that happen when you pick up important abilities and so on and so forth, but they don't save you in place. When you quit out, you'll always be sent back to your most recent bench, or in extremely rare cases, some of which we do use in this run, send back to a point where the game was last hard saved, say after grabbing an important ability like the Vengeful Spirit or later on the Desolate Dive.
Yep, so I am now at 690 Geo. That is a little bit low. That means I will need to pick up every little drop of Geo over here with these hoppers. It does make it a little bit difficult because of these enemies called Aspids. I was fortunate enough to get a double kill, the double hit, so it insta-killed there. Oh, took a damage there. I want to be incredibly careful with this segment. That's another really large frame drop. I was quite fortunate that it didn't affect my gameplay.
Yeah, the hoppers are a fun creature to farm. Although they are pretty predictable in their movement, their primary quality is that they're pretty much unstoppable. Nothing you can do can really send them backwards. They just kind of march forward onto you, and while that can be convenient for farming, it can be really inconvenient when you're in a bad spot and you're trying to worm your way out of it and they just won't stop coming to you. So
Yep, so we just picked up dash slash. This is called a nail art. We hold down the nail button and let it charge, and that will allow us, we use this to hit levers from behind doors, save grubs from behind walls. It is such an incredibly useful nail art, just because of, as you said, we can use it as a lockpick to get into places where we're not supposed to go.
yep, it's quite convenient, this ability, and that's why, even though it costs such a huge amount of Geo at the beginning, it is definitely worth going for, just because it saves so much time.
So it is worth noting that this which we do to hit levers through walls is not available on the current patch of the game. Most speedrunners down patch to patch 1221. The current patch is 1.5 something something something. And the reason we do that is just because of the sheer amount of speed tech we have. And oh boy, that was a bunch of frame drops. I usually do not experience this crazy amount.
Yeah, I'm assuming that has something to do with the quality settings you have set for the marathon, because
It's possible,
nothing else
yes.
changed.
It's also,
But,
yeah, my computer's been having issues lately. Hopefully it won't be a problem during my run, though.
yeah.
So, now I am going to be heading to another area called before I go. We're going to save another adorable little grub using our dash slash. So that bench that I took actually isn't optimal, but Soul Sanctum has some of the worst RNG in the entire game. It can be quite a scary area, and so it is actually often, just in case of a death, especially in a marathon setting like this, I found that it's worth it to just take bench. Oh, and another frame drop confusing me there. Unfortunately, I know enough to full that.
Yeah, the Soul Sanctum's a pretty scary area. It has there's a lot of enemies to teleport. They have ranged and homing attacks. There's all kinds of nasty stuff going on here. So being at full HP and full soul to get through here is quickly as safely as possible is definitely something you'd want, and we're going to have to cheer for Tsira here so that they can get through without that optimal setup.
Yeah, so I did choose to get some soul off of that guard there, which ended up being a very good idea because it gave me enough after I healed to be able to just do 2 hits before I had enough soul to do a fireball there. And that fireball doubled, killing that soul twister instantly. Usually that enemy, if you let it get away, can be quite a pain in the neck. So here we are picking up Shade Soul with that sequence break we were talking about with the lockpick. And this makes our spell do 40 damage, and the double hit, doing a whopping total of 80 damage, which shreds most early game bosses, and even some mid-game bosses.
Yeah, there's actually a really cool quick kill on both of the upcoming bosses in the Soul Sanctum. We have the Soul Warrior, which is a melee-based enemy, a little bit of a mini boss. We can get a quick kill on with just 2 fireballs.
Unfortunately, I was not able to get the quick kill as I did not have enough soul. But I was able to dispatch it without too much trouble. This area here can be quite annoying with that sir. See, as it right into my dash, I opted to use my soul there to kill it so that it would no longer be in my way. I think in general this run is going to be a lot more cautious, a lot more cautious. That drop in a bad position. With an enemy, usually I'd be comfortable at 2 health. But due to the fact that I'm experiencing these technical issues, I am going to be a bit more cautious. So yeah, we are now going to be fighting the Soul Master. Usually you come to this fight without the upgraded spell. It's quite a fun boss fight, genuinely. It can be quite a pain though. RNG times. I was very fortunate with the attack I got in that I was able to get the double hit. And there we go. That was a rather quick kill. Although we're not quite done yet.
I just want to say I'm sorry for not being able to commentate more. It's just I'm not getting a whole lot of the feed. So
Okay.
most of my commentary is just based on where I know you're going or about to be.
That's fair. Yeah, so we're trying to get as much soul as we can during the Soul Master's dives. So that I can just kill him as soon as he stops. Just like that. So we are now going to be picking up Desolate Dive. This ability not only does a ton of damage and gives us iframes, but it also is used to break floors, which we need for some progression. Not every speedrun gets this ability, as there's an alternate way into Crystal Peaks, which is the next area we are going to go to. But due to the fact that we need to save a bunch of grubs, it is optimal for us. I'm gonna kill that guy so that he's out of my way. So now I'm going to be attempting something called the fake dive, where we want to break this floor, but we don't want to fall down. So, just like that, I am able to break the floor without falling down. It's a rather precise trick. I have a pretty consistent setup. There is a certain amount that is RNG, but it is small enough that I'm able to get it most of the time. So I missed that tight wall cling there, but that's fine. I am able to just move on. So the reason why we can't just quit back to the bench is because killing Soul Master is a hard save, and we are therefore unable to. If we were to quit out, it would just leave us right back to the Soul Sanctum. Therefore, we need to get out of Sanctum just by backtracking. And on our way, we are going to save another grub. This one right here. I was able to show off that cool little pogo there, just making my movement a little bit more optimal. But yeah, so I kill these guys not only to get them out of my way, but also just because I want them. It's really useful. And every little bit counts, even though I don't need, even though I'm not soon. I am actually too low on soul to do the desolate dive that I need to do. Okay, sounds good. Can you move us to staging? Okay. Hi everyone, I am terribly sorry about those technical issues. We are back. Unfortunately, you missed us going through an entire area. We picked up an ability called Desolate Dive, which I will show off to you guys right now so that you know what kind of ability it is. It is our dive ability. It is like the spells, but not quite. So now that we have that ability, we are able to go into our next area, which will be Crystal Peaks. And yeah, so we just purchased King Station for a grand total of 300 geo. Please bear with me while I make sure that my splits are up to where they're supposed to be. Okay, and we're good to go. Oh, I am actually a little bit behind where I'm supposed to be on my splits. Let me just make sure that I have it accurate. So that I can have some sort of end time to share with you all. Okay, so now that the technical issues are hopefully out of the way, we will be going back to the run. We're about to enter an area called Crystal Peaks, but before we do that, we actually need to save another grub. This one is a little bit of a tricky grub due to the fact that it's really difficult to avoid tanking 2 hits just to save it. As you can see there wasn't much I could do. I tried to avoid it, but I was unable to. So I'm actually going to be safe and heal up to 2, because Crystal Peaks is an incredibly heavy movement segment. There is almost no RNG. It has 2 damage tanks, making this whole area quite scary, because if I mess up one movement, I can end up taking 2 damage right off the bat, and there's just nothing I can do about it. So you will see me do some pretty cool setups. But yeah, so Crystal Peaks is just a fun area to go through. I'm actually going to choose to get some soul off of that Glum back there. That's the name of this enemy. So that I can shade soul that one, because otherwise he is in my way. Now I gotta go through a little bit of the spike gauntlet here to save the scrub, but I don't have to complete it because I can just hit it through the floor and then damage tank into the spikes and get right back to the start. So this is the first of the cycle-based rooms I was speaking of earlier. My movement through here has to be incredibly precise, or I can tank a bunch of damage. Thankfully, I got through it all right. There is one more of those coming up ahead right here. I gotta sneak past that laser. Unfortunately, I didn't quite manage to do that. So I will get a little bit of soul off of that enemy to heal, just to be on the safe side. Alright, so now we're going to be going into the real gauntlet area to pick up our C dash. Our C dash is basically just the super dash of the game. It makes us go zoom, and it's pretty much an infinite horizontal dash, which is quite handy. The only reason why we don't use it all the time is because it actually has a wind-up. You need to charge it, which means that it is not optimal in all instances. So here I am doing a little trick called underplat whoop. Pretty much just dashing off of a platform and underneath another platform. It's a fun little trick. I will be doing another one of those shortly. And it saves about 0.2 seconds, but it swags, so we must do it every single time or the run is invalid. So yeah, as you can see, this is the super dash. The only way it saves time is if we need to do more than 4 dashes. Grubby! Be free, little guy. Okay. So I gotta wait for that Glenbat to get out of the doorway there. And while I did, I was able to farm up just a little bit more soul. Because I got to save this Grubby. Gonna wait for the Crusher there. These Crushers have specific cycles, but they can be nerve-wracking just because the mental aspect of them. They shake the whole screen, they go fast. So I'm about to face a whole bunch more of them. I know the cycles for them, but if I get it a bit off, then they get a little bit scary again. And just like that. I'm gonna take it slow. Alright, we made it through. I'm gonna opt to heal here, just to be on the safe side. And this little guy is right on our way, actually. So he gets to be freed. Now this room is dark. We need to go through it in order to get the upgraded version of our Desolate Dive spell. But to get the lantern, to be able to see, would cost 1800 geo, and we just don't have the time to spare or the money to spare to do that. So we just go through in the dark, easy peasy. No problem. So there was me demonstrating how I used D-Dark to break the floors. There's a fun little skip here that's gonna come up after we save the scrub. It doesn't really have a name other than the /slide, which I just came up with on the spot. Where we hit this 7 times. 6, 7. Break these. Charge up a /, and then go wee into the spikes. And that gives us a early control so that we don't have to wait for the tutorial screen to finish before we can move again. And that saves a significant amount of time. So now I'm going to be heading into Resting Grounds, a new area of the game, to pick up an item called Dream Nail. Now, Dream Nail is sort of like your sword, except you use them to break into people's minds. You can use it to dream nail enemies and read their thoughts. You can also use it to gain soul off of enemies, more soul than you would from a regular nail hit. But you also need it to be able to defeat the dreamers and beat the game. The reason why we need it is because we have to fight a dream boss, which requires dream nailing a boss that we already killed to get its essence. So yeah, now I just gotta wait for the beautiful moth lady to show up. Alright guys, I'm about to do the second underplat. You guys ready? I can get up here, C-dash across, and underplat. Woo! There we go. That's the second underplat in this speedrun, and I believe the final one. For another teeny little bit time there. Okay, and there's our dream nail. But we're not gonna quit out just yet. The reason why I go into my menu there is to be able to do a little bit of an early control to get out of the room as soon as possible. Although I do have the, I don't believe that I took the Dirtmouth bench, so unfortunately I will need to take the bench here. And take the stagged Dirtmouth. That'll be a minor time loss, but unfortunately an unavoidable one at this point. Okay, so now we're going to be entering a sub-area called Crypts. It's a little bit of a scary sub-area, because everything does double damage, as you can see there. I have to kill a little fly without getting hit. I gotta kill that guy. Unfortunately, I did get hit, but I was able to sneak past and save the grub without too much issue. I'm just glad that I sat at the bench, because it does mean that I was at full health. So yeah, the next thing we need to do is head back to Crossroads, that beginning area, to save some more grubs and do our first acid skip. A lot of areas in the game are blocked by acid, which you need an ability called Isma's Tear to be able to get past. But getting Isma's Tear takes time. We don't want to spend that time. So we have speed tech where we crystal dash really low on a wall, and usually it's just enough space to be able to sneak past the acid and get into areas where we're not supposed to be. So before we get to that though, we are going to save another adorable little grubby. We're going to save one more actually before we do the skip. Oh, where's my C-dash? There we go. Okay, so I got a C-dash here, and my C-dash just in time to dash past that Gome, which was the big spiky thing shooting out at me. I'm going to kill this guy so that he's out of my way, and save the grubby. Alright, so this is the acid skip. I just walk off the ledge, C-dash at the correct timing, and I missed the jump there. I missed the wall cling again. And there we go, that's a skip. Unfortunately, it wasn't too well executed, but there will be one more that I can hopefully show off for you more. Now I just gotta drop through this room as quickly as possible. C-dash over here. C-dash over here as well. And we're gonna save another grub. Alright, there we go. So now we're entering an area called Fog Canyon. We don't really see much of it during this run, other than just getting from one area to the next. Although to be able to access most of it, you need to, is really a later game area. We do use part of it as in the early game to get into Queen Station, which was the area I just was in. Now I'm back in Fungal Wastes, and I will be saving some more grubs. Pretty much the entire run is just saving grubs. But that just is one of the beautiful things about this category. I'm actually going to opt to heal here because I'm about to enter an area called Deep Nest, which is quite nerve-wracking. It is one of the most well-designed areas in the game, though that doesn't make it the most pleasant to traverse. Deep Nest is kind of a scary area, with a dark atmosphere, spiders crawling in the foreground. And you are about to meet our first scrub mimics. They may look like grubs, they may sound like grubs while they're in their jars, but I assure you they are not grubs. Oh, if only they were real grubs. That's mimic number 1, mimic number 2. I'm going to free them because it's useful, but you can hear those spooky sounds. That's the mimics. So now I gotta traverse the rest of Deep Nest. Where we have one of my favorite bosses coming up. This boss is called Nosk. Unfortunately, he is quite disliked in the speedrunning community due to the ridiculous amount of RNG in the boss fight, as there is one attack he does where you are just unable to hit him, which is not good for when you're trying to kill a boss. He is also quite a scary boss, as you'll see why. Rather creepy. I just gotta get through this area first. And we're now safe. This is one of the most amazing areas in the game, this room right here. Just because you enter Deep Nest, it's dark, it's scary, it's terrifying. And you fall, and you're like, oh no, I'm falling, I can't get back up. And you fall into a hot spring, which refills your soul. You have a bench right there. And it's such a huge sigh of relief. So you see that little guy down there, that copy of me? He's just a friend of ours. We're gonna go try to chase after him. Oh, that's not supposed to be a C-dash, but this is. You can see him running away, just small glances of him as we C-dash through. So the reason why we need to fight this boss is because he is hiding our first pale ore. Again, pale ores are the items we need to be able to upgrade our nail. What I'm gonna try to do in this boss fight is get as many double hits as I can with my soul. As you can see there, it just does so much damage. 40 damage with each hit, meaning 80 damage with one cast of soul. It's just an incredible amount. Unfortunately, I did not have the soul there to do it, and I cast that one the wrong direction. So this is the ceiling attack I was talking about earlier, where you just kind of have to wait it out and wait for him to fall. He's almost dead though, I can feel it. And there we go, one. Alright, so that is the Nosk fight. The fact that we do so much damage to him makes the fight significantly quicker. And there's our first pale ore. Now, we're not quite done with Deep Nest yet. We need to pick up an ability called the Tram Pass. This will allow us to visit another area of the game. Another 2 areas of the game, actually. Save more grubs. And get more pale ore. We've now left early game and entered the mid-game segment of the run. I'm killing those guys for their soul. because there are a couple enemies here that are completely RNG where they spawn, and if I don't fireball them, then I will get hit. There's also an enemy there that I wanted to look out for. Ow! Guy sniped me. Alright, we're fine. We did the damage warp back here. Into this room above. Now at this point I am not at all worried because I know where all the enemies are. And I have specific strats for avoiding taking any damage in this next little bit. So unless I do something really foolish, I'm pretty much home free until I have to quit out. So it's 1C dash here, and that allows me to avoid all the enemies there. Those enemies are really brutal. They have a huge health pool and they spit out other smaller enemies, which can just swarm the area and make it really dangerous. And as you can see, there are a lot of them. So it's lucky that we have such a consistent C dash to be able to avoid them completely. And yeah, so now we're done with Deep Nest. Okay, so next we're going to be heading through this area here. There are a bunch of damage tanks actually, but I don't need to worry about them at all because I have 5 health. That'll be more than enough. And I'm about to take another bench here. So although it may seem scary that I'm now at 2 health, there is a bench inside this tram which I am able to take. So the tram and the stags that I spoke about earlier are the 2 fast travel systems in the game, although there are only 2 trams, and really only one is of any use, because by the time you've reached Deep Nest and you've picked up the tram pass, most likely you've already been to Resting Grounds, which is where the other tram unlocks. So we are now about to pick up our next pale ore. And on our way we are going to save another adorable little grub. Gonna get some soul off of that enemy so that I can do a quick kill on the enemy arena over here. Just 2 attacks of my Shade Soul and boom, they are dead. Just like that, I can quit out back to that bench in the tram, but we're not done with this area quite yet. We still need to fight 2 bosses, pick up our next movement ability, and save a grub, so we've got plenty to do here. Now, Monarch Wings, which is the double jump ability in Hollow Knight, and the ability that we're going to pick up next, is not strictly necessary for the route, but it makes it significantly easier, as well as saves us a bit of time with some platforming. And so it's worth going out of our way to pick up, especially since we're already here anyway, to save the grub and to kill a boss. So this next segment here is full of Molochs. Although they look like they're going to be shooting, the blobs that they shoot at me are complete RNG, we actually have quite specific strats to avoid getting hit at all. Unfortunately, I messed up that first one, and the second one here. And that damage I took there was the only one that's actual RNG. I'm gonna get some soul off of that crawlid to heal up. I'm gonna do the same over there, just so that I can feel completely confident in my movement and get some soul for the boss fight. Now, I'm going to do a little skip here called the trans dash. Unfortunately, I was not able to get it. It's called the trans dash because when you dash into a wall and jump off at the correct timing, it will translate your dash direction from one direction to another. And, you know, trans rights. We love representation in the Hollow Knight community. Alright, so I got the pre-scream fireball shoot, which saves time, and he's already doing the headbang attack. This is so good, because he will be unable to get staggered, and I can just sit there and D-dive on him. And he's going directly into another one, which is just so good for me. As you can see, I was able to dispatch the boss incredibly quickly. That was some really good RNG I got there. And I let go of my C-dash just a tad too early, attempting something called Swag Door. Alright, and here we have our Monarch Wings ability. Alright. So now I'm going to go back to the boss that I just beat, and I'm going to use my Dream Nail to enter its mind. You can see this strange glowing around it. I pull out my Dream Nail, and that allows me to fight the Dream variant of the boss. Now this, although the regular version was quite a pushover, this boss really isn't. I will need to put all my concentration into getting as many doubles as I can. I thought I had a D-dive there, but I did not. This boss has an incredibly large health pool, has those little balloons helping him. And I'm already down to 1 health. This is a bit concerning. I am unable to heal at that stagger because I don't have enough soul. Let's see if I can do this. I got this. And alright, that's a death. So the good thing about deaths in the dream bosses is that you spawn right outside of them. You don't have to go to a bench, you don't need to collect your shade. You just pick yourself back up, pull out your Dream Nail once again, and go back into the dream world. Alright, seconds tries the charm. I hope. Oh boy, this is not going too well. I need to focus a lot more on the run. Unfortunately, I did stagger him, but I was unable to get a heal off. Okay, so this is a good chance to heal right here. I was actually incredibly lucky and able to get off 2 heals, which you usually can't do. Alright, I'm gonna heal once more. Ow. I am unfortunately not doing a great job of stagger locking the boss. Alright, so now I've got the stagger lock going. And there we go. And just like that, the boss is dead. And this will give us all the essence we need to be able to collect the pale ore that the seer holds. It'll give us 400, which is exactly enough. But we're not ready to quit out just yet. We got a little grub to save. Just some fun platforming there. I almost quit out before I saved the grub, actually, which would have been a really big time loss and just quite unfortunate. But luckily, I caught myself in time and did not quit out too early. So yeah, now we take the tram to a new area. This area is right outside a sub-area called the Hive, located in Kingdom's Edge. And the reason we go here is because this is where the location of one of the pale ores is, as well as a couple more grubs that we want to save along the way. So the upwards movement through this room is just quite fun. And just a little bit of a mess up there. I fell quite a ways down, but made it through in the end. What makes that room fun is that there's a certain amount of RNG to it. Unlike a lot of the platforming rooms where we can just know roughly where to go, we don't have that option in that room. Alright, so we saved the waterways grub. So this next grub that we're gonna save is quite interesting, is that it requires a different kind of acid skip than the one that I showcased earlier, but still an acid skip. I'm going to leave the room and re-enter it in order to respawn, in order to set my spawn nearby. Although it didn't end up being necessary as I got the skip first try. It's quite a tight jump into a dash into a wings movement, but it's such a fun little skip. And luckily we were able to C-dash our way back as normal. Alright, so now we're back into Kingdom's Edge. You may recognize this area from earlier with all these hoppers, except this time we don't need to farm the hoppers. We can just go right back past them because we don't need their geo anymore. We will be just fine with the geo we collect throughout the rest of the game. I will kill these just to get them out of my way because they're a pain. And yeah, so we're about to save one of our yet another grub. We are now nearing the beginning of the end of the run, actually. Gotta avoid that hopper. So that was some good platforming through that segment. And let's see how the platforming goes here. Oh, little bit of a stumble there. Alright, there we go. Oh, got hit by the hopper. So why I'm going through here now is to unlock this shortcut, actually, so that I can come back here to Kingdom's Edge a bit later in the run, a lot quicker than I would be able to otherwise. I was forced to tank that damage by the exploding fly there. I forget the name of the enemy, but I am not at all concerned, as I am about to take a bench in Green Path. This is when I return to that area. At this point of the run, we are pretty much just doing cleanup. we need to collect another couple grubs in order to be able to get the pale ore that we need. We need to pick up 2 more pale ores, and we need to get our nail upgrades. Ow. This guy causing me a little bit of an issue there. Alright, we made it through that room alright, no problem. This grub we kind of have to go a bit out of our way to get, but it is more in our way than a lot of the other grubs, and so it is therefore the best choice of the grubs left. I'm going to go up a secret passage into a new area, but before we get to see much of that area, we're going to quit out, back to the bench. Okay, so now we're gonna head back to Dirtmouth, because we want to visit Crystal Peaks yet again, because at the very top of Crystal Peaks on Hallownest Crown sits another pale ore, as well as the last grub that we are going to save this run. So I have to sea dash across all of Dirtmouth in order to get up there. So normally, when playing casually, this is the entrance to Crystal Peaks through which you'll exit when you're doing your own playthrough. But as speedrunners, it makes a far more convenient entrance. And that is another grub mimic that we are not gonna save. It can remain sad in its cage. Okay. So we've got a bit of platforming over here. Nothing too fancy. Just to get back into Crystal Peaks. The real platforming comes very soon at Hallownest Crown. So I have to go back through this room that I was in earlier, but it's significantly easier due to the fact that I have wings now. And although it would be nice to be able to crystal dash across this entire room, due to this sleeping little buddy on the bench here, this is a boss, and if I were to sea dash across the room, it would wake him up. And we kinda don't want to fight him right now. So we're just going to dash past as silently as possible before sea dashing outside of the room. So this is a segment of the run that I need to be very careful with in terms of my movement and what I do, because of how tight everything is, how annoying the enemies in the area are. So I'm going to kill those enemies because that is the only way to avoid taking damage from them. And now I'm going to pogo off of a Crystal Hunter to avoid having to go through this entire room again. Alright, and we are now entering Hallownest Crown. From here on out, the platforming gets a lot more precise and fast-paced, and therefore a lot more fun. This is one of my favorite areas to go through just because of the movement. We do a couple of pogos over there. And we've made it to the top of the crown. There's our third pale ore out of 6. We're now going... Remember all those grubs that we saved throughout the run? We are now going to visit their father, and he will reward us for all the grubs that we saved. It's kind of a bit of a chance for me to rest during this long run before one of the hardest segments of the run, Coliseum. And he'll just throw us a bunch of geo, some pale ore, a pretty useful charm as well. And this will pretty much give us all the stonks we need for the rest of the run. So now, chat, if you would like, this is a good time to get some water, take a drink, check your posture, grab a snack, because, oh boy, the section coming up is quite exciting. As you can see, he's just giving us so much money. After this, it's kind of crazy because it's just barely enough for what we need for the rest of the run. So if I didn't already have money to start off with, I would still need to get more. As you can see, all the happy little grubs in the background. Honestly, I wish I could save all of them in this run, but there just isn't the time. This area is just so blessed. And so that glittery thing that I'm leaving, that I left there, is called a mask shard. If you collect 4 of them, you get upgraded health. But because this is a speedrun, we're not getting 4 of them, we're not upgrading our health, and therefore there's no point in me really picking it up. It takes about 8 seconds to pick one up, and why do that when I can be collecting money? Alright, so now we got one more stop to make before we can upgrade our nail. We are going back to visit the seer in resting grounds to get our second to last pale ore. Resting grounds is an aptly named area, as outside of the crypt sub-area, there are no enemies, and it is a place where the player can relax, take a breather. So we just got another relic. Tsira is opening up a door to another area now, which we will not be visiting in this run. And there's our pale ore. So now we're gonna head back to King Station in the right side of City of Tears. And we're just gonna C-dash as much as we can all the way across the entire city. Before I can C-dash though, I have to take this bench. Because if I were to forget it, it would be a lot of backtracking I'd have to do. So this is C-dash number 1. C-dash number 2. So I don't really have to kill the enemies in this room over here. But it's so much faster if I do. And I feel better knowing that I have that extra geo, whether or not I end up needing it. Oh, so that funny little thing you saw there is called wall cling storage, where I got it the opposite direction of where I wanted to go. And it actually pushed me into the enemies there. And here I am charging up another nail art to be able to get through this door before I should be able to. And what I'm doing now is I'm selling these relics for just a little bit of extra geo. Although I suppose 900 geo is not just a little bit extra. Without selling it, we wouldn't have enough for the upgrades we need to make. Now I'm just gonna sea dash all the way across this entire room. Alright guys, say hello to the Nailsmith. This is one of the characters that we will be uniting for the Happy Couple achievement. We need to get 3 nail upgrades here at the moment, then we're going to quit out, do some enemy gauntlets called the Colosseums, and then we are going to come back here once we have the last pale ore, and we're going to get our last nail upgrade. So, a little bit of explanation about the Colosseum of Fools. They are basically... There are 3 trials, each one significantly harder than the last, where it's round after round after round of unique enemies, followed by a boss. Now, Colosseum 1 isn't near as much of a challenge. The final boss is just 2 of those Gruzmothers that we saw early on in the game. But the second one is really difficult because they start an enemy called the Obalobbles, 2 of them, and they pretty much work like a bullet hell boss, which makes them kind of scary to face against, especially with only 5 health. But what really matters in the Colosseum is soul management for our spells and heals. It's a matter of memorizing what comes after what in the waves. Oh, messed up my jump there a bit. This is fine. I want to just kill these hoppers and get them out of my way. Alright, so we are about to enter the Colosseum. I will need to be taking the bench due to the fact that I'm down 1 health, I don't have soul, and I forgot to equip a charm that we need. So I will take that minor detour. Usually I equip this charm right after I earn it from the Grubfather, but I did not do that now, so I am going to equip it. And there we go. Let's start Colosseum 1. I will need to focus a lot more on my gameplay during the Colosseums, but I will do my best to explain what is happening as it happens. Most enemies here are new, although some are old. Like this. This is an enemy that is unique to the Colosseum. And they are kind of dim-witted, but they do have their shield, which can make them a little bit annoying to kill. These are kind of like the boulders we saw in the very beginning of the game, but not quite. They roll a little bit faster, are a little bit more aggressive, and of course they're this beautiful shade of purple. So there I attempted to get a double hit, and I succeeded on getting it with one enemy, but not with the other. So here we have the aspids. Thankfully, they are significantly less annoying now due to the fact that they only take 3 hits to kill. And I do know how to handle their AI, so it doesn't bother me quite as much. Okay, so I took a little bit of damage there, but I'm not too worried. I can heal up. So we're about to... Oh wait, no, I forgot that this phase comes next. The nice thing is that I am actually able to kill stuff by just sending them into the spikes, like so. So we are about to have our first mini-boss, the Vengefly King. Usually this will be the second mini-boss that you fight in the game. But we are going to fight him here in the Colosseum. And just like that, he's dead. I could have fired another fireball there, but I opted not to so that I could heal back to full health. Because I knew that these guys were coming next. Ow. Okay, I just... Okay, so now that that aspid is out of the way, I am now at 1 health. I am... Wow. Okay, that aspid just sniped me. That is quite unfortunate. I wasn't expecting to suffer a death there at all. I expected to be able to heal up during the next round, as it's a bit of a breather. But we are going to go back and do Colosseum 1 again. I have to say that is the first time I've died to Colosseum 1 in a run. So hopefully I'll be able to get it with the second time around. Okay, so no trouble out of those guys. Gonna kill that one quickly. Okay, and just like that, they're all dead. Easy. Got the double hit with that one. I do not like those enemies at all, though. Alright, so I have a chance to heal here now. I was able to dodge that hit with both aspids shots there. I'm back at 1 health, which I am not comfortable with at all. Okay, so I have a bit of an opportunity to heal up here. We're almost back to where I was before. And there we go. Easy. So I'm gonna be a bit more careful. I'm going to opt to heal over here. It means that I can only get 1 hit on the Vengefly King. And there we go, Vengefly King is dead, and I can heal back to 4. I'm a little bit concerned, as I want to be able to kill that aspid. And there we go. Aspid is taken care of. this is the place where I died now. I am now past that. I have a little bit of a place to farm soul here and heal up. Okay. And there we go. Full soul, full health. Just how I like to be. Okay, and so now we've got the final boss of Kalo. We've got the Gruz Mothers. And just like that, they are done. They only take 3 Shade Souls to kill each. And I was able to double up my Shade Souls properly so that I didn't need to use more than 3. And just like that, Colosseum 1 is finished. Now we gotta go back to the Little Fool and do Colosseum 2. Now this one is significantly harder. It even has a section where we don't have a floor. The floor is taken over completely by spikes, and I need to fight enemies while clinging to the wall. But I am not too worried about this Colosseum. The biggest thing will be the enemies at the end, if I can get past them. But with proper use of Shade Souls, it shouldn't be too big of a challenge. I'm able to just kill those guys quickly. Easy. Alright. Now they are dead. We're gonna get another one of those flying guys over here. That was pretty perfect the way it worked out, though. That was pretty good. I now have the opportunity to heal back to full, because these guys are quite slow, and they'll often kill each other with their explosions. As you can see, I only have the one left. And I was able to just send that guy right back off into the spikes. Now we've got these guys. We gotta wait them out. Just let them explode. And there we go. Next come a whole bunch of hoppers. These little guys. It's an opportunity to heal. Oh, I guess not. Now I have an opportunity to heal. And now we've got some of those great hoppers again. I wasn't sure that I would be able to pull that off. I was able to do an up slash on the hopper while he was coming down on me. And I was able to pull off a quick D-dive. And this is what the mimics really look like. This is their true form. Thankfully, that is really the only one we actually have to deal with in this fight, in this category. And get some soul off of that guy. Okay. So this is the segment just before the no floor segment. I want to get up to as much soul as I can because you can see I no longer have a floor on which to stand. But easy enough. Just like that, we are done with that segment. Okay, full health, a little bit of soul. This is perfect. This is just where I want to be. And now, we've got a bunch of the small obels. They are a foreshadowing of what is to come. They have a really large health pool, actually. They're kind of pushovers, not very bright. But with so many of them, they can cause a bit of an issue. And seeing as the final boss is coming right after them, I do like to make sure that I am at full health afterwards. Full health and full soul is ideal. I am starting to get worried that I will be unable to get that though. Just due to the way these guys have been today. Okay, yeah, full soul, full health, and we are now at the final boss. This guy is quite angry at me as I killed his partner. But just like that, done. And that is Colosseum 2. We are now about to pick up our last pale ore. And all we have left to do is go back to City of Tears and get our last snail upgrade. We have just enough geo as it costs 4,000. We have 4,032. Now, as long as I don't die on the way there, we're pretty much home free. I'm gonna be getting up a little bit of extra soul just to be on the safe side here. I'm gonna do a D-dive because I'm never sure where those enemies are gonna spawn, and I'd rather not take a damage. Alright, so now we're gonna get this bench here. Make sure that Stag is here. And head back to the nailsmith to get our last nail upgrade. Now, a little bit of the lore. The nailsmith's whole purpose, his entire life, has been to create the perfect weapon. And then with the pure nail, the final nail upgrade that you get, he has finally done what he sought out to do. He no longer feels like he has any more purpose in life. And with that, he gets rather depressed. It's quite sad. And he asks you to strike him down with the nail that he just created for you. Now, you have an option. You can choose to kill him, or you can choose to let him free to wander the world. If you choose that option, then the nailsmith will wander through Hallownest, and he'll meet a lovely nail master, and they'll fall in love, and it's absolutely beautiful. And that is actually why the community has dubbed this category Gay Percent, because they are a happy gay couple. But yeah, so we are now here to collect our final nail upgrade. And there we go. He asks you to, if he says he needs to step outside His furnace goes cold. He asks you to kill him. But we are not going to do that. No, 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 no. We do not kill the nailsmith here. We are going to go back to King's Station, back to Green Path, through a gauntlet lovingly called Green Path of Pain, because it's a fun little Crystal Dash platforming segment. We are going to visit Nailmaster Shio's hut and unite the couple. So we are now at the very end of our run. This is the last bit. And with our nail at full strength, we are able to kill enemies with merely one hit. Alright, let's do this. This is the last bit, the final stretch. Oh, and I messed it up. How lovely. I was attempting to do a faster cycle, but unfortunately, face tanked into the spikes, giving them a little bit of a hug, but not one that is very pleasant for me. Alright. Going to attempt a little skip here. There we go. There is a teeny tiny amount of wall that I can cling off of over there. To be able to jump up to that platform saves less than a second, I believe, but it's swag, so I like it. So we've now picked up our second nail art. This one is called Great Slash. This man over here is our lovely Nailmaster Shio. We leave the room, re-enter, sit on the bench, and we have our lovely Nailmaster Shio painting the nailsmith. There's actually two versions you can get. Let's see if I can spawn in the other one. Yep, here they are sitting making sculptures together of different characters in the game. And with that, that will conclude our happy couple speedrun. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am sorry about the technical issues, but I hope you enjoyed the speedrun. If you are interested in speedrunning Hollow Knight, check out the leaderboards. Feel free to join the Discord. There are a bunch of amazing resources there for if you'd like to get started. It is an absolutely beautiful game, and I highly suggest you check it out. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching the run.